Good evening, viewers, and welcome to tonight's regional news. We begin with news from the twin island of Trinidad and Tobago. Beds for sick COVID-19 patients in Trinidad and Tobago are running out, and here's why. In his daily update on Sunday, the Health Minister Terence Singh said that 223 additional people had tested positive and were being processed for admission to the hospital based on how sick they are. In the same period, only 25 patients were deemed well enough to be released from the hospital. There is no more space at the Augustus Long Hospital. All 48 beds are taken. Only 12 beds remain at the Cora Hospital. 8 people died between Saturday and Sunday, taking to 211 the number of COVID fatalities in Trinidad and Tobago since the first death in March 2020. Some 86 COVID-positive people who were recovering in self-isolation at the hospital are now considered recovered. Of the 8 who died, 1 was a middle-aged man, 3 were middle-aged females, 2 were elderly women with comorbidities, 1 was a young man, and 1 was an elderly woman without comorbidities. The minister also gave another grim figure, 15, the number of people in the intensive care unit at the Cova Hospital, with another 56 in the high dependency unit. Still in Trinidad, the Minister of Health is responding to the statements made by the UNC Member of Parliament, Dr. Rudal Munilal, on the SINOPHARM Beijing COVID-19 vaccine. Dr. Terence Singh said Munilal's statements were baseless and not grounded in science or fact. Singh said in a statement on Sunday that, I quote, "The fact is the COVID-19 SINOPHARM Beijing vaccine has undergone a rigorous World Health Organization WHO vaccine assessment, which included on-site inspections of the production facility prior to the WHO official approval of the SINOPHARM Beijing vaccine for the emergency use listing procedure on May 7. End of quote. He further noted that all vaccines procured on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago are selected based on the robust standards of the World Health Organization, and absolutely no COVID-19 vaccine will be administered without the World Health Organization's approval. He added that to date, all COVID-19 vaccines administered in Trinidad and Tobago have received emergency use license under the World Health Organization. We now turn our attention to Brazil. Brazil's President Jair Bolsonaro rode at the head of a large motorbike rally by his supporters on Sunday amid harsh criticism over his management of the coronavirus pandemic. Brazil is one of the worst-hit countries in the world by the pandemic, having suffered 420,000 deaths. Surrounded by security guards, Bolsonaro led hundreds of motorcyclists riding from the presidential palace in the capital Brasilia for a 1-hour trip around the center town to mark Mother's Day. At the end of the rally, Bolsonaro, a fierce critic of social lockdown measures to contain the spread of the virus, took photographs and shook hands with supporters, many of whom, like him, were not wearing face masks. Although the number of new coronavirus cases has dropped in recent weeks, Brazil has the highest fatality rate in the Americas and the Southern Hemisphere. We end tonight's regional news with news from Mexico. The families of more than 2,000 people killed when a train overpass collapsed in Mexico City last week will receive financial compensation, the city's mayor has announced, as the country continues to reel from the deadly incident. Mayor Claudia Sheinbaum said on Saturday that about $35,000 would be made available to families of the 26 people who died on May 3. Sheinbaum said to a news source that they are not going to leave the families alone. They will give them all the support the families require. Further, she stated that the relatives will receive about $2,500 from the city as well as $32,650 from the metro train line, Sheinbaum said. Meanwhile, some commuters who regularly traveled on the line said they had long feared such an incident would take place. And that is all for your regional news. Thank you for joining.